Alright, I'm going to do a short bonus video for you. It's called Factoring Trinomials. Factoring trinomials is so important that I'm making an extra lesson for you. So make sure you watch all these. Even if you feel like you have factoring, I'm going to talk about different tricks to make it easier. Because they're going to get a little bit harder. So let's just start. Let's do our first problem. I have another book I'm getting these from. So here's one, x squared plus 13x plus 36. Okay, we're factoring trinomials, so trinomials have three parts. When we factor trinomials, first thing you do is make two sets of parentheses. It's just like taking a number like 6, and if we factor it, we're going to take it into 2 times 3. That's what factoring is, breaking it into numbers that when you multiply together, these numbers are the factors. When you multiply them together, you get what you started with. So that's what we're going to do. These two binomials that we're going to get, when you multiply them back together, you get what you started with. So there's a couple tricks. These are easy. These don't have any coefficients in front of the x squared term. So when you do the first one for the first couple lessons that we do, you're going to have an x and an x. It's the only option. So we're going to say what times what gives me the first term in your trinomial. So we know it's x times x is the only thing that's going to give us x squared. Then we move on back here, go to the back, and we're going to look at this sign. This sign right here is very important. It tells you several things about the signs you're going to put here and here. If they're both plus, then the signs are going to be the same. So, if it's plus at the end, we're going to have same signs. So right away I know I'm going to put a plus here and a plus here. The next thing it tells me, when there's no coefficient in the front, whatever, I'm going to find out what times what gives me 36, and when I add them, I should get 13. So we're going to think of what times what gives us 36. Well, let's see. We could have 2 times 18. We could have 3 times 12. We could have 6 times 6. And we could have 9 times 4. This one's kind of tricky because look how many combinations we have. I was getting worried I wasn't going to find one. So you can either write them all out or figure it out in your head. The only one that adds together to give us 13 is going to be 9 times 4. So I'm going to fill that in. 9 times 4. And this is your final answer. You have to check them to make sure that you're going to get the middle term right, though. So we do our FOIL. First would be x squared. Outer would be 4x. Inner would be 9x. And your last would be 36. And these two together add up to 13, so we know we did it right. In the future, all you need to do is check your outer and your inner and make sure it ends up being your middle term. Let's try another one. Let's try one with a minus sign. So x squared minus 3x minus 18. Minus is kind of like a dash. So trinomial, two sets of parentheses. So we're going to get x times x. We don't have to think too much about that. Now here's our combinations. You notice here we have a minus sign as our second sign. So when you have a minus sign, it means signs are different. Just like sometimes we use a minus sign and say difference, means subtraction. The signs are different, and we're going to subtract whatever factors we come up with. So let's come up with our factors. So we're going to get 18 and 1, which I didn't write that above. We have 2 and 9, and 3 and 6. So this time, it's which two do we subtract to get minus 3? Well, 3 and 6. When we subtract those, we get minus 3. Now you just need to know where to put your minus sign, where to put your plus sign. Well, you want it to be minus when you add them together, so the bigger one would get the minus sign. So let's check it by just doing the outer and the inner. The outer would be minus 6x, the inner is plus 3x, and that does give you minus 3x, so that one's correct. Let's try another one. Let's see, these don't get very hard yet. They're going to get hard as we go along. How about this one? X squared minus 12x plus 32. Now, you look at the last sign. The last sign is plus. So that tells me that they're going to be the same signs. Well, what are they going to be? This one, they were both plus, because this one is plus. So this one is plus. So what are they both going to be? You look at this one, they're both going to be negative. So this just helps us to get set up a little bit. Make it harder. These tricks will really help you. So what times what gives me x squared? That's x and x. And then we have what times what gives me 32. Oh, here we go. Well, we know. Well, look at this. We have a plus, so we know the signs are going to be the same. What are they both going to be? They're both going to be minus. And whenever we get our factors, we're going to add them to get 12. So let's just think of our factors. We have 1 and 32, 2 and 16. We have 4 and 8. That's all I can think of. But we hit the right combination is 4 and 8, because when we add 4 and 8, we get 12. So we put 4 here, and we get 8 here. So the outer would be 8x, the inner is minus 4x. So that does add up to minus 12x. Let's do one more, and then I'm going to do the difference of two squares. I think we covered that in class. Alright, here's one. Did we do 24 yet as a combination? No. Okay, so x squared minus 10x minus 24. You can stop this and try it yourself if you want. Alright, so our last term is, the sign of the last term is negative. So we know when we make our two sets of parentheses, the signs are going to be different. So I make two sets of parentheses. I have an x, x. What times what gives me 24? Well, we see the signs are going to be different. And this time, whatever the factors we have, we're going to subtract them to get 10. So I can, let's see, we get 6 times 4. Well, when we subtract 6 times 4, we're not going to get 10. If we would add them, we would get 10, but we want to subtract them. So the other one is 12 times 2. Well, very noisy house, I gotta say. So 12 times 2, if I subtract these, I get 10. Where do you put the 12? Well, you want the bigger one to be negative, so you put the 12 here, and you put the 2 here. And just in case you're not sure, you check. Your outer is minus 12, your inner is positive 2, so that would give us minus 10. I don't think my house would get any louder right now. Okay, let's look quickly at some differences with two squares. I think we covered those in class. Alright, while I'm looking for that, I'm just going to stop this video and I'll do a whole different one for factoring difference of two squares.